Oh, it's in the boxes.
Oh, it's in the box. Well, I'll tell you what it was. I knew you wanted to control this.
Oh, is that real? You know what you're
We
saying?
start getting out of hand, yeah.
It's getting deep. That's what I'm thinking.
Say what?
The issue on the,
Yeah, I haven't got to look at it yet, but I'm going to.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah, I've got it on my agenda. Let's do that time. Hopefully I'll have a minute to breathe.
You do already. You got this thing.
that all day. Gotta go back the first thing in the morning.
Are you meeting with him on Monday? I won't be there for that, but I'll be there.
Got one for you though.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I didn't know something, sorry.
Oh, the updated one. I think I got mine. I copied it out. Some people didn't want it.
What I got in my book? Get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I must. Mount Carmel Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting is now in session. January 24th, 2019, 6:30 p.m. All rise. Mr. Williams, be leading us in word of prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you for all the representatives here. We ask, Lord, that you give us guidance and direction and help us do what's best for the town. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Grady, will you lead us in pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Wanda Davidson,
Present.
Alderman Jim Gill. Here. Alderman Stephen McLean.
Present.
Alderman Pat Stillwell.
Present.
Alderman Carl Wolf.
Present.
Vice Mayor Jennifer Williams.
Present.
Mayor Chris Jones.
Present.
All are present, and we have a quorum.
Okay, at this time, I need a motion for approval and correction of the minutes of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, meeting dated December 27, 2018, and the committee and department reports.
I make a motion we accept it.
I have a motion by Alderman Carl Wolf. Do I have a second?
There is a correction, and I think Mike's gonna fix that. He combined mine and Carl's name together at one point, so.
Yes, there's one line that reads, motion was made by Vice Mayor Carl Williams.
So,
I just got in married you.
Hey, there you go.
Your name.
we're all, that's scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah.
Carl's motion is to approve that with that,
Correction.
correction. Okay, do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second by Vice Mayor Jennifer Williams. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll take a moment for visitors' comments. All persons wishing to address the board will stand and state your name and address and shall be limited to a 3-minute presentation. The board may not participate in any discussion and cannot vote on the subject you present. Absent any emergency, the earliest time the board might discuss and vote on your matter will be at the next Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. Individuals and or group representatives who have placed an item on tonight's agenda will be allowed to make a brief comment when the agenda item is open for discussion. At this time, the floor recognizes any visitors. Claude Lawson.
I lost Mount Carmel for 41 Mimosa Street. Last meeting, I sit down here backed up against the building, and when the northbound and south, the westbound traffic on 4 lane is going, so is the main street here. It was, now, I've been in law enforcement, and I know what I'm talking about. There was 7 cars, 6 cars, and 1 truck picked up, cut through here so they could go. The red light here had it, so they couldn't cross. And many police officers around here, I know they can watch that. There was 3 standing right beside of me that night. They could have been writing some tickets. Of course, the meeting wasn't in session at that time. And I've asked questions here, I don't have many times in the last 3 months, and I never do get an answer. What do I do when I ask questions 30 days later and I don't get an answer to it? What do I do? Just keep my mouth shut? I guess. It's not fair, people.
Claude, can I make a real quick suggestion? Michael, will you get with Claude and make an appointment with him where y'all can sit down and actually discuss some of the matters that he's brought in front of the board?
Yes, I will.
And then get back with the board maybe and get a letter back about it?
Yes.
Will that work, Claude?
Now, I got a couple more things I'd like to mention, but time doesn't now. A lot of people don't know it, but just recently I was told that we have another officer come back up here from Hall County Sheriff's Department. And if you don't know his name, that's the one down his jurisdiction, run in the back of my wife's car, making 70 miles an hour, going to Churchill for that. He was not requested to do that. So states the police department, the chief of police in Churchill, and I know them all. And wasn't nothing done about it, he hightailed it to get Alton County Sheriff's Department. Is he coming back up here? He's already here. You know what I'm talking about? You can't respond, but you know who I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Claude. Any other visitors' comments?
Yes, I'm quick. Can I comment on something about him, about the traffic? What we need to do, I leave early in the morning, and I sit there forever in the morning. The time is shorter between the morning and the evening, because I don't sit there that long in the evening. You see here, I've even done what he's done, because I'll sit out here about 2.5 minutes waiting for that thing to turn green. Or what I'll do, I'll turn right at the red light and go down here next to where Food City is, cut left. So I mean, when you're in the morning going to work, you don't want to sit in front of a traffic light almost 3 minutes with no traffic on 11W, none whatsoever. And I have seen people run it, and I have seen people take shortcuts through here, because we're in a hurry to go to work, and sitting there that long with no traffic or nothing for a red light is ridiculous. When you go to here at McDonald's and leave McDonald's and cut left, come back to 11W, as soon as you come up to that white strip, it turns green for you. You don't wait there 10 seconds. So that's why everybody's taking shortcuts through here, running right through here where the mailbox is, or and stuff like that, taking off towards Hardee's, because it's quicker. And we need to shorten the time in the morning.
Any other public comment?
My name is Garrett White. I'm 421 on Hickory Circle in Mount Carmel. Got a couple of things. First is on the ordinance to change the personnel policy. I agree with it. I voted for it the last time, and I'm glad it's come up again. However, I don't think you ought to be changing the personnel policy by resolution. I think when you do the new one, you need to do it by an ordinance, but that way at least you have 2 readings, and after the first reading, the people of the city and the employees would have a chance to comment to you all and give you their opinions. If you do it by resolution, it's done. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, on January the 13th, Times News did an editorial on Mount Carmel, and this is what it is. And if you haven't read this, You need to get it and read it. It's a pretty good article.
What date was that?
January the 13th, which is a Sunday ago. It talked about the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and I think you all need to look at it and read it and take it to heed. On that same thing, if you're going to hire people, you hire them based on their qualifications, not on where they live. That's all I've got to say.
Anybody else? All right, moving on. Old business, ordinance number 18-478. This is an ordinance to amend the Mount Carmel Municipal Code Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual. This is the second reading. This pertains to eliminating the grievance procedure. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Is that what your motion is?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion from Stephen McLean to approve ordinance number 18-478. I have a second by Neil. Any discussion?
Mayor,
Explain,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Did our
Age
attorney,
before beauty.
yeah, there you go. Did our attorney not recommend this? This is best for the town of Mount Carmel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
we,
was.
Correct.
this is something that I've
And
recommended
and
for a
highly
while.
recommended?
Yeah.
That's,
Okay, thank you.
I was gonna ask, is this what,
Yeah.
What was
we
recommended?
yeah, it's the last meeting.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Wanda Davidson,
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
Yes.
Alderman Stephen McLean,
Yes.
Alderman Pat Stillwell,
Yes.
Alderman Carl Wolf,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Chris Jones.
Yes. In new business, resolution number 19-580. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to request funding from the Tennessee Housing Development Agency to provide housing rehabilitation for low-income persons. Basically, what this is allowing us to apply for a grant through First Tennessee Development District. Some folks that are elderly or low income can't afford to fix things at their houses, porches dilapidating, things like this, roofing problems, housing problems. There'll be money, grant money there for that. It's a long process, about a 1.5 year long process if someone applies for it. But it would help some low income people. That's what this resolution is. Do I have a motion?
Can I ask a question?
I will ask.
Do I have a motion get on the
Oh,
floor?
sorry.
It costs the city nothing.
I'll make a motion.
I'll wait.
We drop res, we.
I have a motion by Alderman Carl Wolf.
19-580.
Is that what?
And we accept this resolution.
Okay. I have a motion by Carl Wolf. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Vice Mayor Jennifer Williams. Okay, floor's up for discussion.
And, does that apply to build, wheelchair ramps also?
I believe it does cover wheelchair ramps too, don't it?
It can, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically, Hawkins County had this grant. Hawkins County's had this grant. Sir Lawrenceville's currently got this grant. I think they're finishing up some work in Sir Lawrenceville. Then they're gonna be looking at, or currently starting work in Hawkins County. And what it does, say you have a veteran out here that his house is dilapidated, he can't really afford to fix it, you know, he can barely pay for his meds, things like that. Or any person that's low income, disabled, these type of folks, their porch is about ready to fall through. What they do is they come in, they look at the home, anything that's not up to date as far as code, they bring it back up to code, and then they repair the things that's needed for them, and some things could be a wheelchair ramp.
So there's no age limitation?
No, there is no age limitation, it's based on income.
I've got a question. Now, you said that it wouldn't cost the town anything.
No.
There are grants that if you don't follow through with paperwork and all that, you have to pay back if you've already spent the money. Because we had that happen once in the library, that the papers didn't get in right or something, and the town didn't, this was several years ago, they had to pay this grant back. So,
This is completely managed and taken care of by First Tennessee Development District. We're just the entity that falls through, and inside our city limits is where, it's set up to help inside the city.
but this paperwork has to be done in time on what you've done and what you've done with the money,
Yeah.
and be turned in on time, or else
And
they can't
none
come
of-
back on us.
None of the money comes through Mount Carmel. It actually, I think, funnels through First Tennessee Development District.
All right, that answers my question. Thank you.
No further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 19-580 passes. Resolution 19-581, this is a resolution to declare certain library property owned by the city of Mount Carmel to be surplus to the city's needs. This is the library books that they were talking about. We've got extra library books and stuff over there, and libraries want to donate them. And it's the library books that we no longer use and have to use for some time. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I make the motion.
I have a motion by Alderman Jim Griffin.
I'll second it.
I apologize.
Who is Jim Griffin?
Jim Gillum,
I'll second that, Mayor.
Alderman Jim Gillum. I've got a second by Alderman Carl Wolf.
Agree with that.
Any discussion besides Jim wanting to hit me in the head?
I got one. Can we donate those books to the Salvation Army or call the Veterans Hospital, Johnson City, and see if we can donate them over there?
He's not here. I'm sure that would be something that we can do. They might have, if they haven't already, decided where it goes, I'm sure it can be too.
I was over at Veterans Hospital last week. I was looking around, they didn't have any books over there at all. Now, they may have them somewhere else, but they didn't have them at the main entrance. Or they usually keep them up by the surgery or emergency room department, so.
That would definitely be a good suggestion.
And also, Chris, Mount Carmel Elementary School, as I was going down through some of the list, of course, there's a whole lot of stuff here, like The Wizard of Oz, Little Women, Oliver Twist, Little Beans, Thanksgiving and all that. Can we not donate some of these books to the Mount Carmel Elementary?
I think, Mount Carmel Elementary actually is usually approached first before.
Okay, well, thank you, because I was, with me being in the school system for so long, I thought, well,
I think they're usually always approached. I don't think that they've got such a large library collection now, most of the time they don't have even like this. But it's always on.
I know who the
It's always
librarian
on.
is up there now, and if you would like me to ask them, I'd be glad to ask them. if
Because
they
it
want
would
any
be,
of these
it would be
books.
best if it stays in our hometown anyway.
Yeah, okay, because there were, I just only got so far, and I noticed all these elementary books, and I thought, wow, maybe they could use another book or two, you know, because they wear out easily, especially when children handle them.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all in favor, aye? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Discussion and consideration of street side parking in Hammond, Hunter's Run. At this time, if there's anyone here that lives in Hammond Estates, Hunter's Run, we would probably be interested in hearing, from you in regards to the parking problem in those areas.
Just one second.
I hear one.
Okay, Mr. Allen, employee,
Do you want me to speak in public, or can we speak in private?
it definitely has to be in public.
Okay, well, I must say that it's getting very dangerous in Hammond Estates, and the speeding is really starting to pick back up too. But there you are parking, there's one residence got 7 or 8 cars in the parking space, and there's one double, they're parking on both sides. The reason why I bring this up, it's dangerous. We have a fire truck needs to come up there. We've had a fire just 3 years ago at one of the residents over a lamp fire. It could happen, they can't get through, and then plus what worries me, we've got a lot of people that jogs, walks 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, jogs before they go to work and after work, and you got 2 cars parked on both sides of the road, and they go in the middle, and somebody's coming flying down that hill, they're gonna get hit. And I about see it. I mean, it's just, and then Hunter, I went through Hunter's Run, I drove through there, and they're parking on both sides. It's a hazard ready to happen if we have a total emergency. So we have, it says no parking on our streets. And if it says no parking, we need to start giving some warnings or tickets. And we really need to start busting them for speeding. I'm not kidding with you, their speed limit down through there's 20, and I know they're sitting on 40 or 35 miles an hour. And if there's a kid out there on a bicycle, we have no sidewalks where the kids go. They got to go on the street. That's how I learned how to ride my first bicycles in the street. Somebody's gonna get hit. And we've had some near misses. The 4-way stop that y'all got down there where they parked the school bus is a joke. Nobody stops at it no more. You might just go ahead and jerk them up. So, and I see it every day. I live in it. I see it every day. It's crazy.
Thank you, Al.
Mayor Jones, this was talked about once before, when this subdivision was first started. There used to be certain parties had campers on the road over there.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were.
We've had pontoon boats.
Right. A lot of them are, and if you say, if you're gonna let people park, you gonna have a car parked in front of your house, or you on another side of the street? You better be careful what you open up right here. Cause like he said, you got a car parked on the street, here comes a kid out behind it, it is dangerous.
Now, I mean, I can understand emergency vehicles or delivery, UPS, they're only gonna be there 10, 8 seconds.
Right.
I mean, well, if it's emergency, I mean, it might be a little longer, but I can understand UPS, cause some of them driveways ain't wide enough for a UPS truck. But it's a hazard ready to happen. If we got no parking, it means no parking.
We had a gentleman there in the back.
My name's Leonard Dorton, I live on Hunter's Run. Actually, it's probably on the docket or the agenda of the coffee meeting, but, I've already expressed my opinion to the, town manager over here. But, there are no parking signs on the street, there's no parking on the street, they've been there since I'm on my house and my subdivision. I sent a picture to the, town manager, this recent snowstorm that there was complaints about at the last, meeting. I sent him a picture, and I'll be glad to send it to everybody else as well. Our town crew was over there trying to clean the street, and it was like a slalom, because they were having to avoid the cars in the street. And, he asked me my opinion as far as whether I would think it'd be no parking at all, or parking on one side of the street. And, like I told him, I'll do whatever the town decides, whatever you decide, no parking at all, or one side, or whatever you decide, or just let it go, park wherever. But it is an issue. We had a smoke investigation. The fire department, see one guy.
About 2 months ago, wasn't it?
Not been too long ago. I was at work, thankfully, but it wasn't my house. But I'm sure the fire trucks had problems getting down the street because they were probably having to dodge. So, like I told him, if y'all decide no parking at all, I'll support that. But I personally don't park in the street because I use my garage and my driveway. However, if you do want to do one side only, I'm fine with that because then it puts everybody at least on one side of the street. But, like I said, the winter storm we just had, it looked terrible seeing that truck. As a matter of fact, I stopped the drivers and talked to them and told them I appreciated what they were trying to do for us. But it looked like a slalom because they were having to dodge one car and back and forth. And there's just no reason for that. I mean, either take the signs up and don't enforce no parking, or leave the signs out and make it one side only, or do whatever. But like I said, I'll support whatever you all decide to do as a group up there. Either no parking at all, one side of the street, or take the signs up and say, have at it wherever you want to park at. But let's do something about it. Okay? That's my opinion. But I'm okay with whatever you all decide. But I think if I had to choose, I think I've got some neighbors that would still be able to park on the street possibly. So maybe one side, the street only. And you've already got no parking signs up, so it would be pretty simple to put some letters, no parking this side. Because they're already on one side of the street already. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
What was your name again?
Leonard Dorton.
we have any more comments?
Let me ask you one more question on that, parking. What about my house park? I'll park a junk car there on one side of that street. And take the tires off there. Is that considered junk? I'm just asking a simple question. It's considered junk. Can we really enforce it? Ain't our street private property belongs to the town of Mount Carmel?
Yeah.
Why are we furnishing a parking lot? Or if maybe certain subdivisions. If you do one, you ought to do them all.
Yep.
That's just me, I think. I mean, that's up to the board how they feel about it.
Let's, Greg, can you give us a little bit of input here about complaints or anything we've gotten over there in some of these subdivisions?
Just parking, all together. We've had some in, what's the name of their subdivision? Meadow Springs, we've had some issues there. We have had some issues in, Hammond Estates. And we did have an issue with the fire trucks on Hunter's Run that night.
Is there issues while we are not enforcing it, or?
Well, they're enforcing, speeding in our subdivision, I thank you for that.
Well,
Cause I complained a long time ago.
If I could weigh in on that.
Yeah.
And one, we have some gentlemen here from the fire department to speak to this issue as well, in regards to getting our fire apparatus on the streets. Reason that we're addressing this tonight is over the years, I think 2 or 3 years, the signs have been there, but there's been no real enforcement of that. And because of that, people have become accustomed to being able to park on the street. What I wanted to do, and there was some dispute about whether it was enforceable minus an ordinance. What I've asked the board to do is kind of weigh it out, listen to public comments of the residents, and as well listen to our public safety personnel. I've also got some recommendations or some concerns from our public works on the issue. But I wanted to make sure before we ever started enforcement, should the board choose to go that route, that the public was aware that everything transpired in a public meeting before we start issuing warnings or citations. So that's why we're here addressing that, and I did not feel comfortable beginning to enforce something that for years has been said that it's unenforceable.
Okay, let's do this. Let's hear what the complaints are from Public Works, and then let's hear what the complaints are from the fire department, and catch your mic up.
Okay.
Or bring it in or something, so everybody can hear.
All right. Sorry about that. I think I have the worst mic in the house.
Is it on?
It is.
John, give me yours.
I don't know that mine's on it, mine's working either, so.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
There we go. There we go.
I feel important with 2 microphones. And it's not complaints as much from Public Works, but challenges. Some of the things that we see on Public Works, obviously snow removal is a problem, trying to weave in and out of parked cars on the side. If the board should choose to do parking on the one side only, that's still going to leave some challenges there. One, I think a couple spoke, Mr. Floyd spoke to it, kids coming out from behind parked cars. Is part of it. The other thing, leaf pickup is a challenge. Utility marking is a challenge. Things of that nature. If you still leave parking on one side, those are going to continue to be challenges. And I'll let our fire personnel talk to the available room for it.
I think it would be best if we do the no parking on the street, because even if you go with one side, and Chris knows this, that engine's still gonna be hard to get in some of these streets on these subdivisions. worst one probably in Hammond State is Creek side.
Oh, yeah.
The very backside, that truck will fire and they go through there. And now with the addition of our ladder truck we have, that is the second truck that rolls out on a structure fire. And the night the gentleman here talking about down at his subdivision, it was horrible. We had to zigzag and it took forever to get in and get back out. And if that had been a true structure on fire, we would have been hurt. And down there in his subdivision, they're bad, apart from other hydrants. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed.
Can I say something? I mean, I don't want nobody to no ticket, but maybe these people not realize what they're doing. I mean, just bring them aware of what they're doing. I mean, if it continues, write tickets, but right now, just, you know, hey, guys, you're not supposed to be parking there.
I'd like to add something to, Mr. Dorton and Mr. Cole's, comments. When I was on the campaign trail, there was a guy, in one of the streets down there, and he said, when is Mount Carmel gonna come in here and, start putting radar in here? Because, said, we have so many speeders in this, he said, you wouldn't believe, and he lives on the corner where it's got a curve, and he said, you would not believe how many speeders comes through here, and I brought that up before. He said, and we never hardly ever see a police car, so I don't know, you know, if patrolling in there, starting to patrol in there more might slow them down or what, but, he said, would you bring that up, and I did bring it up once before, and apparently they've not slowed down.
Thank you, Pat.
I'm sure, or at least they're supposed to go through and patrol every part of the city, during their day. They should be. And I know a lot of them patrol Hammond Estates. Just because you don't see us, don't mean we haven't been there. There's only one of us.
And we are working on having all our cars marked now
Yes.
and stuff, so
Yes.
instead of all these unmarked cars running around that they don't recognize, they'll be seeing more marked cars
Yes.
running around. If this was a decision solely on me, this would be my suggestion. I would suggest that the police department start a public information first and try to go through some of these subdivisions with, use some of our reserve officers or something, put some flyers out, information flyers about no parking on the street. And be sure that we make them aware, and maybe we can attach some pictures, if you got a picture of the snow situation and things like this, if we can attach.
Go ahead,
maybe
I'll go
some-
ahead and show you now since you, so I don't think I'm just
Yeah.
talking now.
Maybe we can attach a picture in with the, flyer or something to show them, and explain to them, you know, we have to max the fire trucks, we have a hard time getting through the fires. And if we make these people aware, maybe we can convince them to stay off of it, and go from there to a warning, and then to an enforcement. That would be my suggestion.
Wouldn't that be easier to do a town later because
We can no longer do a town letter, we don't have that in the budget anymore.
We need to get it put back in the budget, to do town letters at least.
That way the whole city.
We'll have to do it at the next budget workshop.
that would be,
I've asked, I've been asked that before, why don't we get that? And I think that's good, the mayor sent it out, the manager.
Yeah, it's mainly because I took it out of the budget.
we can't just pick on these couple of subdivisions, people want to park on the side of the road, this will have to be a town-wide.
It would have to be every place that's marked no parking on the side of the street, or no parking on the street, period. It would have to be collected all through the.
It would have to be marked, 'cause we can't issue someone a citation that's not marked on the roadways.
We could hold a public hearing on street parking town-wide before the next meeting. And then the town would have adequate notice that this is an issue. The month thereafter, the police department could issue warnings to every car parked on streets where it's marked, and then you have tickets after that. It's at least an option.
And I do apologize, it was always my intention that City Hall would, do a public awareness campaign, should the board choose to go in this direction.
But you know, public hearing could have happened immediately prior to the February meeting, that day.
So is this a one vote reading on this?
No, this is.
I don't even know that,
There, if anyone wants to make a motion for a certain action to take place, then we would do it right here. But if not, then we would let our city administrator handle the situation.
I'd like to make a motion that there be no parking on city street, one side in bad weather only, and permit for family gatherings. You know, add to that, feel free.
You didn't hear.
The motion's parking,
No parking,
no parking,
one side in bad weather. These people have to, some driveways you have to get out of before
Stephen Drive.
before it snows.
I'll second that.
If I could make one point on that. One of the things that we hear a lot, or I've heard a lot.
hold on just a minute, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Let's clarify this first. I have a motion, for no parking on one side street in inclement weather. And family gatherings, right?
Yeah, I think, you know, once the word gets out, they can call in City Hall, let them know they're having a family gathering, and you would know that they're gonna be parked there for that day.
Family gatherings by, notification.
Sounds good to me.
How you gonna know it's not a family gathering and just maybe people
You have to call
coming
and get
together
it.
to party, whatever?
I have a motion, and I have a second by Alderman Jim Gillum. Floor is up for discussion. Who wants the floor first?
Hey, let me ask you one question on that. In bad weather, you talk about more or less snow, correct? Snow and ice.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what
In
I
other
meant.
words, no parking when you think there's gonna be snow and ice.
No, you can park on one side during,
In weather, I hate to say that.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you saying to force the no parking
no parking,
with the exception of inclement weather
one side of the street.
and family gatherings?
Yeah.
Mike?
A couple of things on this, the family gatherings, we've heard a lot of that. We don't want parking on the street except for family gatherings or things of that nature. That is going to be cumbersome on our police department to have to determine that. I had not considered that from the aspect of the notification clause, so I can't speak to that. That kind of makes things a little bit more pragmatic in the enforcement. Still, that would have to accompany a public awareness campaign as well. A lot of times, the family gatherings, what you're going to see is holidays and weekends where there may not be anybody available at City Hall to communicate that to.
Most time it's a planned thing, you know.
Yeah.
If they can just call in and let City Hall know that they're gonna have a gathering.
And that being said, and the chief may be able to speak to this somewhat as well, I think our officers could exercise some discretion in the sense that if it's a gathering at someone's house, it will be pretty apparent. If it's just people using street side for parking, their everyday parking, then that would be a little bit more easily identified.
So are we gonna mark the streets to say no parking except for inclement weather and when you have a family gathering? Because they have to be marked.
That's true.
How much money is that gonna cost?
Good question.
Is it in the budget? No.
They have to be public works.
It ain't in the budget.
would be
If
my
you do
guess.
that citywide, you don't have to mark every street, do you?
Yes, sir. I can't enforce it if it's not marked.
It has to be, you know,
It has to be marked the signs have to be so far apart.
They'd be on every street.
Yes, sir. On both sides of the street.
Yeah, 'cause right now in Hammond Estates, we only got one sign.
Correct. It would have to be strictly stated, no parking, both sides. It has to be, the signs have to be so far apart so that everybody is notified on each street in the city.
How's Hammond Estates marked?
One sign as you go in,
That's it?
at the beginning.
Same thing in Tanglewood.
Kinda like you can't enforce it in Hammond Estates, because it's not, if it's not marked all the way through, then.
Correct.
enforce it.
Yeah, we got one, yeah, like one sign when you first go in, that's
That's
it.
it.
It ain't on Creekside.
Each street has to be,
What about these other subdivisions, how are they marked? Same way?
Well, if it's safety, we'll have to do it. Somebody's gonna get hurt. It's getting worse.
If, then I guess the real question to the board is, do you wanna mark these streets as no parking, or do you not wanna mark these streets as no parking? That would be the question that the board really has to address here.
Well, if we don't mark the streets, we can't do nothing about them parking, correct?
Exactly, if it's not marked, we can't do nothing about parking anyway. Can we just have a,
You can get a cop's warning.
can I convince you to withdraw your motion and us have a public hearing on it at the next meeting?
That'll work.
All right, let's set up a, public, hearing at the first of the next BMA meeting.
Okay, thank you all for that, and if I could, Vince, would you be comfortable working with public safety to kind of take a look at some of our streets, determine if what streets we need to be focusing on?
yes.
Okay, moving on, discussion and consideration on the town's position regarding ballot health initiative. I've been approached by several citizens in this town. I've been approached by, even some businesses, that are really upset with the direction that ballot health is going, and wish to encourage them to leave our, Holston Valley as a level 1 trauma center, to try to encourage that. And I want to get the opinion of the rest of the board on, maybe doing a resolution supporting the same as Churchill and some of the other cities that Hawkins County has done, to maybe send to them to let them know how our board feels. Would you all be interested in entertaining a resolution, on the next agenda?
I'll support that.
I'd like to have a little bit of discussion on that. Being in healthcare, I can kind of, and as my past employment, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. It's like if you go to a surgeon that does lots of surgery, you're gonna get a better outcome. And if you go to a neonatal intensive care, that takes care of lots of babies and high-risk infants, there's gonna be a better outcome of that infant. But I also understand as a citizen, traveling 20 miles can be a hardship on some mothers that end up at the hospital and has a premature baby, and then it gets moved to Johnson City, and her family has to travel over there to see that infant in NICU. But my child was born before there was a NICU at Holston Valley. That was over 30 years ago. I was a high-risk pregnancy, so I had to go to Johnson City. And so I knew I was going to deliver there. And she had a good outcome. I'm just saying, it's just like if you go to any kind of level of excellence facility, that doctors that do a lot of the same type of things over and over and over again, and nurses that care for the same type of things, give better care. Whereas if you have less amount of those type of patients, the care is not up to standard. And that's just my opinion. So, I mean, I see both sides.
But Jennifer, if they flooded Johnson City Hospital, and it's overcrowded, if there was everybody from Southwest Virginia all had to go to there, would they actually get better care?
Well, you're not talking about all the patients going, you're talking about one that has to see like a trauma surgeon, you know, that's trauma care. And one in the NICU, like, that has to go into neonatal intensive care. So ones that are coming in for regular surgery and things like that aren't gonna be going to Johnson City.
No, but how much trauma do they have in Kingsville? If you got a statistic on how many's actually coming in there?
Well, some of the news things are saying, the doctors, the analysts and others are saying what they actually reported is less than what they're actually seeing. So I don't know, if you look at the news reports. But I'm just saying, from my experience in healthcare, like if I have a child with a particular ailment, I'm gonna wanna take them to a level of excellence on that ailment. I don't wanna take them somewhere that maybe seen 2 or 3 of that particular situation.
Hey, Mayor. As a member of Life-Saving Crew, our squad has been opposed from changing from a level 1. Why don't this board send a nice letter, or send a very letter, to Ballard Health and tell them we would like Holston Valley to remain a level 1. That's about all we're gonna be able to do. Cause money's gonna talk, they got the money to do what they wanna do, and I'm sure it's a money issue. Especially my age, you might not want me.
If I may, the resolution that the mayor was talking about is virtually what you're saying, in essence. And that's, you know, I had the opportunity to attend board meetings for both Sirgoinsville and Churchill in the past month when they voted on these resolutions. And it's essentially just a statement to Ballard Health telling them, you know, that the town and the town leadership, based on the citizens' comments, disapproves of the downgrade.
And we just like to stay at level 1.
Yeah, and we could certainly have a resolution like that prepared and ready if the board so chooses.
I know, it concerns me because right now, if there's a serious car accident in Rogersville, they don't go to Rogersville Hospital. They don't go to that part of Holston Medical Group. They go
Holston Valley.
Holston Valley. And, you know, next thing you know, we're gonna have a whole fleet of helicopters having to fly into Johnson City because there's no way they're gonna get across 26 in a timely manner.
And that's very expensive,
It's
if I
trauma.
must add.
Right.
Very expensive.
So that's one of my biggest concerns is, you know, we have any type of industrial accident in Eastman, we have any type of industrial accident VAE or, you know, the train that comes through here derails and we have a serious situation, we're gonna have the level of trauma at Holston Valley that we need. That's a concern. Yeah, and unfortunately, money talks.
They want to lock me.
I will have this as a resolution next month. If the board approves it, we'll send a resolution in to them, letting them know how we feel. Moving on. Discussion and consideration of employee cost of living increases. Michael?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Essentially, I placed this on the agenda in budget workshop. There was a 3% cost of living increase built into the budget. What I did at that time was recommend or ask the board that we include it, keep it in the budget, and then recommended that we would not distribute those immediately upon passage of the budget like we typically do, and reevaluate after December, where we stand on the budget and determine at that time whether or not that 3% wanted to be distributed to employees. So that's what I'm doing at this time, is just asking the board's stance on the increase before I authorize it.
Okay, the floor is up for discussion.
I got one question. How did you come up with that increase, 3%?
That's what the board determined in the budget workshop.
Why can't we go with the computer, the consumer price index, to get what everybody else gets? If they get 2.8, then you get 2.8.
I think,
That's what anybody on Social Security, if they get a raise, is based on consumer's price index. Now, this year was 2.8. I got so much money, I couldn't spend it all in one day, the whole $47. And I think that should be based, that should be the rate that we go if you're gonna give a COLA. I think it's fair.
I think, you was asking how they come up with 3%. I think they based that on, pretty much what the cost of, increase in insurance and stuff on city employees was. I think that's where the 3% actually come from. Was to help cover the employees' cost of insurance.
Well, a couple cents ain't gonna break this up.
I think it ought to be an amount, not a percent. Straight amount across the board, each employee.
I'll make a motion that we approve what was already budgeted for the city employees on their cost of living raise for this year. Do I have a second?
What was it?
It was 3%.
When does that expire? On this budget we're on now?
Yes.
Yes. So that expires by June?
I'm sorry, that 3% increase is a net raise for employees. So the pay level that employees would increase to would remain at that pay level. Their compensation would remain at that. That would be their new rate of pay.
Run that back, Dick. What you just didn't say, I ain't gonna get no raise, but we're gonna approve it. Is that what you said?
No.
Now, what he was saying was, once it goes up 3%, that's where the employee salary stays. You know, I doubt very seriously our insurance is gonna be going back down.
Insurance never goes down. It takes money to keep good employees. There's a lot of good jobs out there, it pays a lot more than this town does.
And Mount Carmel's got some good
Let's stop right here for just a second. There's a motion on the floor. I made the motion that we approve the 3% that was already approved in the budget. Do I have a second?
You've got a second.
I've got a second by Alderman Carl Wolf. Now, floor's up for discussion. Go ahead, Carl.
I think to keep good employees in this town, and there's a lot of places pay a lot more than a town like Carmel does. 3%, spent $10, get 30 cents. All that does is more or less throws you in a different kind of income tax bracket a lot of times. But makes employees feel good. And the cost of living is high.
That's usually the way they base it anyway, on the percent
Yeah.
every year, right, Michael?
That is, typically we have done cost of living increases. Just candidly, I'm not a strong proponent of cost of living increases. Cost of living increases are not, from a personnel management perspective, are not actually raises. Cost of living increases are basically intended to track an employee's compensation level with the current cost of goods and services. So it's not, I would not call it a substitute for performance increases, evaluations, things of that nature. But a lot of cities do cost of living increases. The other thing, and to speak to Alderman McLean's point, another thing that a cost of living increase does, and we have done this traditionally, but one thing that a cost of living increase does is it gives greater level of compensation increase to the higher paid employees. And it gives lower compensation increase to the lower paid employees. So essentially, by consistently doing COLA increases, you create a greater wage disparity between your higher paid employees and your lower paid employees. That's why I like a performance-based raise system.
That's why I recommended the set amount. If you had an average of your hourly wage, take the average 3%, give everybody the same pay.
Would you like to come back to the board with another recommendation next board meeting?
My recommendation, and I've been asked by staff about the cost of living increase. My recommendation is that we do this, if this is the will of the board, we do this as it's traditionally been done. Mayor, board, we've all talked about policy changes, and I think performance evaluations and performance reviews is something that we should be looking at in the scope of a policy change as well.
So you're saying that you're recommending that we go ahead and do that this year and look at changes next year?
Yes, sir.
What staff are you talking about? You said you and your staff.
I said I have been asked by staff about whether or not they're gonna get a cost of living increase this year. Now, one thing, and I will ask for some clarification in the motion, that when we were in budget discussions, I framed this as if the board chose to do the cost of living increase after December, that it would or could be made retroactive, because they typically would get it in July with the new budget year. So I would ask for clarification on the motion, whether or not the board would like to see that effective immediately or made retroactive to the beginning of the fiscal year.
Man, I said one more thing, please. It's like Jim, or you said here, Steve. If you're making $20 an hour, you're gonna get 60 cents more an hour. A little man there makes $9 or $10, gets half of that. We discussed this several years ago on this board about trying to get people closer together. I believe one was on the board at that time. We still going further apart. There's another man making $20 an hour better. That's great. But the little man is not climbing the ladder a bit. He's staying in the bitch mine he's in.
Yes, sir. You're exactly right.
Well, one thing that has been me and Michael's discussed multiple times is actually having a pay scale, and I'll say a realistic pay scale as far as what each individual person makes. And that would entail in the future that only the pay scale itself would go up 3%. Unfortunately, we do not, this town does not have a realistic pay scale in it. It never has or hasn't for some time. I think at one time we did have, but it vanished somewhere in the world. But we are working on a pay scale. And at that point in time, in the pay scale cycle, the whole pay scale would be moving up 3%. It wouldn't be each, based on salary stuff. It would only be based on level of performance.
The little man is always gonna be the little man. That's just the way life is. Whether you like it or not, if you're on the bottom of the wage, it's hard to climb a ladder. If you're on top, you don't care what the little man gets. I mean, I've made some good money these days, and I know, when you make that $20-some an hour, it makes a big difference. A man making $9.50 or $10 or $10.75 is a big difference right there. You expect the same amount of work out of that person. Might not be on the same job, but you expect a lot from that little fella. And little man make you rich.
I think we've actually sat down, and there's so many discrepancies on what this person makes, that person makes, and everything. That's the reason that me and Mike's been discussing about a realistic pay scale and getting people to where what they're making is realistic in comparison with everyone else that's making, doing the same job. And we can't necessarily bring people down in salary, but they may get to a point where they can't go up no more. They are topped out, and that would be as far as they go. And they won't be, once that pay scale gets set in place, once they top out, that's it. There won't be no coming in here and giving them raises. It will be topped out, that's as high as you can go.
I just wanna add this, I don't think you need to go out here and price yourself out of the market compared to the wage what Kingsport might get. We don't make the money, we just don't have the money Kingsport's got. I think this should be tabled for the next workshop, and there's a couple items we need to discuss in there.
He's making a motion to table it,
I just,
or postpone it.
motion to postpone, yeah.
Do I have a second for his motion to postpone?
I'll make that motion, give Mike a chance to come up with
Okay.
something.
I have a second by Alderman Carl Wolf. Roll call?
Can you have a discussion right now?
Yep.
I need to ask, don't the biggest part of our budget go to pay salaries anyway? That's
Yep.
what I thought, so.
Mhm.
No.
Roll call. Postpone?
Roll call. Alderman Wanda Davidson,
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gill,
Yes.
Alderman Stephen McLean,
Yes.
Alderman Pat Stillwell,
Yes.
Alderman Carl Wolf,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jennifer Williams,
No.
Mayor Chris Jones.
No. The motion passes, postpone. Moving on, next business. Police Department cameras. Mike?
You will find in your packet, the quotes for the camera systems. Those are the camera systems as was instructed by the board, last meeting. I believe it is $600 for body cams, and the rest of the information is escaping right now. We have looked at repairs. Frankly, we have not found any vendors that really do repairs, so we could not provide quotes on those. Yes, $600 for body cameras, and the docking stations, is that for the in-car cameras?
No, that's for the body cams, but it is optional.
Okay, Michael, come here and show this to me in my packet. I can't find it.
Okay, back.
On the very
It's
next
the back
page.
page.
It's on the very back page.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can see how important you are.
Is this the only,
They're $5.95 each.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, Grady.
Yes.
The radio that your assistant chief had,
Yes,
has that got a body camera on it?
it does.
It does?
It is a microphone.
And it is microphone as well?
Yes.
That unit's about $800, ain't it?
The radio is,
It's $800, and that comes with a body mic?
no,
and
you have to buy the mic extra.
how
But
much?
it was bought with the camera system. That was part of the system that we bought before.
Okay,
The 10A camera system come with the body camera that attaches to the radio. Those are just freestanding body cameras.
okay, so if he was to switch to another car, does his camera system, or does his body mic, or body camera still work?
Yes, it attaches to the radio, but it doesn't, it's not affected by the in-car cam.
is that the same thing we have here?
Yeah.
Grady, is this the one that gave you the phone number for?
No, I was not able to get hold of him.
Is it a bad number?
No, I left a message.
Can you try to get hold of them again? Because
Absolutely.
they were a lot cheaper when I talked to Justin.
He told me $6.99 a piece.
Oh,
He said the only reason that they got them for $3.99 was because of the other stuff that they bought.
I thought he told me that he could get all of them, I think, about $300 if you buy a pack of 10.
He told me, but there was a stipulation. So it was still gonna wind up being right at $10,000.
who told?
But I did not get a hold of the vendor.
Who told you this?
Just being,
On our camera system, has everybody got a camera right now that they can use or swap out or something? Because I know we need as much recorded as we possibly can. I mean,
No, not everybody has a camera.
is this just to fix the ones that don't, or is this to completely change everything?
That is to completely change the system, to make everything the exact same. That way there's no questions.
do you have the money in your budget for these?
I have $1,500, but it has to be matched.
So you get maybe 3,000.
If we spend 3,000, 1,500 of it is back, on a grant. But that's it.
So basically, we got $3,000 to spend, is that what you're saying?
No, we have to spend 3,000, so 1,500 of that would come out of the budget. The other 1,500 is a grant.
Okay,
So we have to spend 15 to get 15.
right.
How
And
much
you-
dry money can come into use on this?
No, sir, it cannot.
And you can't swap these out when somebody else goes in.
We do. When somebody leaves, we give it to whoever comes in.
So
But
you
we
want-
just
you-
don't have,
yeah.
we just don't have, oh, you're talking about on a daily basis? You don't want to mix information up. You want that body cam to go to that individual.
Okay, but if you get the docking station, can that not be put in your car and it put, on there, and by the time they get to the police station, that it's already, downloaded?
No. Well, you could, but it's gonna cost you a lot more than $10,000. That's
Is
some
that not what
$9
Churchill
technology.
does?
No, they take theirs and put it in the docking station in the police car.
I know. I don't think that we.
Can we
I think we
discuss
ought to
this
change
in the
that.
next work jump, Chris?
Yeah, you make a motion to postpone?
I'll make a motion to postpone for the workshop.
Okay, motion to postpone, do I have a second? I have a second, all in favor, aye? Any opposed? Postpone. I will suggest, if the alderman could go over there, Brady, if you could, show them what you're talking about, show them what's going on, show them what you want to go to. That way they have a full understanding of what you're talking about, and they understand how the systems work.
Yes, sir.
That works, thank you.
And you want 10, is what you're saying?
Chris,
we were asked to, get the value on things. We don't necessarily need them. That was just the request that was made.
Oh, well, that's a
Check
little
on
bit
10.
up here.
Right.
And how many do you really need to start out with?
We can do a 7.
Pat, I hate to interrupt you, but we've already postponed it.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Next item on the agenda is spending on manpower. Alderman Gillum's making a motion to postpone. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Alderman Carl Wolf. All in favor to postpone? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Presentation and adoption of monthly financial report.
Mayor, I apologize, you're operating under the old agenda. There was a revision on the agenda. Spending and manpower was split into two separate discussion topics.
I apologize. So the manpower motion is to postpone that. And we also have another motion to postpone the other. Do I have a second to postpone the latter?
You got it.
I got a second by Alderman Carl Wolf. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mike, presentation adoption of monthly financial report.
Yes, sir. This is the cash on hand report as of December 31st of last year, just this past month. General fund balance, $3,139,946.73. Drug fund, $5,446.78. State street aid, $251,164.05. The restricted telecommunications fund, $2,385.34. Required fund balance, $1,061,149.09. Assigned fiscal year 19 budget, $295,000. Unassigned fund balance, $1,524,801.47. Our restricted savings accounts, the capital outlay for general fund, $368,625.49. Emergency fund, $8,720.06. In the sewer account, sewer fund, $1,002,124.52. Depreciation fund as of June of 2017, $231,214. Assigned fiscal year 19 fund balance, $150,000. Unassigned fund balance for the sewer fund stands at $620,910.52. Our restricted savings accounts for sewer, sewer savings, $285,664.62. The capital outlay fund for sewer, $227,020.13. Bond reserve stands at $54,518.67.
Motion to adopt.
I'd make a motion, Mayor. I'd make a motion.
I've got a motion by Alderman Carl Wolf, second by Vice Mayor Jennifer Williams. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Got a city report? Got anything you want to report?
Not at this time.
Okay. Start on the right. Steve, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
Carl? Wanda? Yeah?
I'm done.
That? Attorney?
Got nothing.
Motion to dismiss?
Oh, wait a minute, I do have something. I'm sorry. Cause you skipped the H and I thought. Today, I got a call, from, a woman, and a couple of weeks ago, when we had ice, I got a call. And on Hammond Avenue, up close to, well, before you go out the city, right before you go out the city, there's water running across the road again. And, this one woman said that, she, was going through and said that, she, just got fish there and wanted to know what you all could do about getting that, that water runoff, fixed. And I said, well, I said I would mention it, so, leave it this evening.
I'll follow up on
We'll
that.
look into it. Okay, motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Carl Wolf, second.
Got it.
second by Alderman Kim Gill. All in favor, aye? Motion carries, meeting's open.
Yes, sir.
I think they're gonna have a bunch of workshops.